We've got your sports information and daily updates, plus injury information and betting lines, and so much more. Welcome to the garage. Give the video a like and subscribe to the channel, it helps us out a lot. Please remember, all information in our videos is intended for entertainment purposes only. Now today's video. Welcome back to the garage. Today we'll finish up our season preview of the 2026 NFL season with the AFC North. We'll be back with a wrap-up and a look around the league at the favorites to make it all the way this February. But for now, let's take a look at the preliminary odds to win the AFC North. They currently stand at Baltimore Ravens minus $1.20, Cincinnati Bengals plus $2.10, Pittsburgh Steelers 5-1, Cleveland Browns 16-1. The first team we'll take a look at is the Baltimore Ravens. Let's take a closer look at their season. Baltimore finished the season 8-9 and landed in second place in the AFC North. They missed the playoffs for the first time since 2021 and also suffered their first losing season since then after a Week 18 loss to their arch-rival Pittsburgh Steelers. A win would have clinched the division for the Ravens. This season would be the end of John Harbaugh's coaching tenure in Baltimore. The 2025 Ravens notably struggled at home with a 3-6 home record. Conversely, Baltimore performed moderately well on the road, having finished with a 5-3 road record. The Ravens started the season 1-5 and just couldn't dig themselves out. Lamar Jackson returns at quarterback. Jackson passed for 2,549 yards and 21 touchdowns. He also rushed for 2 more touchdowns. Jackson was limited to 13 games due to injury. Last season was the lowest rushing yards Jackson had in his career at 349. Derrick Henry rushed for 1,595 yards and 16 touchdowns. Henry finished second in the NFL in rushing. Zay Flowers led in receiving 1,211 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mark Andrews was second with 422 yards and 5 touchdowns. No one else returning at receiver had more than 200 yards. The Ravens lost center Tyler Linderbaum to the Raiders in free agency. The Ravens drafted Olivavega Ioane from Penn State in the first round to help replace their center. The Ravens season, as always, depends on Jackson and his health. The receiver situation hasn't improved from last season either. The Ravens will depend heavily on the run game. Up next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati finished the season 6-11, landing them third place in the AFC North and missed the playoffs for the third straight season. During a game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, quarterback Joe Burrow suffered a turf toe injury and was put on injured reserve. As such, for the third time in Burrow's 6 years with the team, he could not start for much of the regular season. The Bengals went 1-8 without him. Burrow returned as the starting quarterback in Week 13 on Thanksgiving night, in a giant 32-14 upset win over the Baltimore Ravens. The Bengals started 4-8 for the second straight year. After a loss to the Buffalo Bills, the Bengals fell to 4-9, guaranteeing their first losing record since 2020. Burrow is back at quarterback. He passed for 1,809 yards and 17 touchdowns in only 8 games. The top 2 running backs return with Chase Brown rushing for 1,019 yards and 6 touchdowns, while Samaje Perine had 382 yards and 3 touchdowns. All 3 receivers return. Jamar Chase had 1,412 yards and 8 touchdowns. T. Higgins had 848 yards and 11 touchdowns, while Andre Iosivas had 435 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Bengals are solid on offense. That was never their problem. Stopping the opponents was always the problem. Trey Hendrickson left for the Ravens in free agency. The Ravens were lucky that Hendrickson was still available because he was clearly the best option after the team moved on from Crosby. Since 2020, Hendrickson's 74.5 sacks rank only behind Myles Garrett, 95, and T.J. Watt, 80.5. His 28% pass win rate on 3rd and 4th downs since 2021 trails only Micah Parsons, 31%. The biggest knock on Hendrickson is his run defense. The Bengals had no first-round draft pick. They took Cassius Howell from Texas A&M to help fill the void. They also added Boy Mayfield from the Seahawks in free agency. The Bengals allowed 492 points last season. Only 2 teams allowed more. How far the Bengals go will be if they can assemble some sort of defense. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh finished 10-7, giving them first place in the AFC North and the number 4 seed in the playoffs. In the playoffs, the Steelers lost to the Houston Texans in the wild-card round, and it extended their postseason losing streak to 7 straight games dating back to the 2016 and 17 playoffs. On January 13th, the day following the loss and the end of Pittsburgh's season, Tomlin announced that he stepped down as Steelers head coach. Tomlin compiled a 193-114-2 regular season record during his 19-year coaching tenure in Pittsburgh. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers has yet to sign a contract as we post this today, but he is expected back for the Steelers. He passed for 3,322 yards and 24 touchdowns and even rushed for 1 touchdown. Jaylen Warren led in rushing with 958 yards and 6 touchdowns. He will be joined by free agent running back Rico Dowdle from Carolina. Dowdle rushed for 1,076 yards and 6 touchdowns. The top 2 receivers return with DK Metcalf had 850 yards and 6 touchdowns. Pat Freiermuth had 488 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Steelers traded for Michael Pittman from the Colts for a 6th-round pick. They also traded up in the draft to select Jeremy Bernard from Alabama. Both players are expected to start this season. The Steelers bolstered their offensive line with 2 picks in the first 3 rounds. Pittsburgh added Jamel Dean at cornerback from Tampa Bay. The adding of a few more defensive backs should solidify the Steelers' pass defense. Pittsburgh's entire season will depend on Aaron Rodgers playing. If he doesn't sign, the Steelers will be forced to play backup Mason Rudolph, and all bets will be off. Last but not least, we have the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland finished the season 5-12, placing them in last place, and missed the playoffs for the 2nd straight year and their 16th losing season in 18 years. The Browns' issues have always been a lack of a quality quarterback. The Browns have had over 40 different quarterbacks since 1999. Last season, the Browns had 3 different quarterbacks. Joe Flacco went 4 games, and then Dillon Gabriel played in 10 games, while Shedeur Sanders played in 8 games. Combined, they threw for 3,141 yards and 16 touchdowns while throwing 18 interceptions. This season, the depth chart reads Deshaun Watson as first, Shedeur Sanders as second, and Dillon Gabriel as third. Will it stay this way? No one really knows. Quinshon Judkins rushed for 827 yards and 7 touchdowns and returns this season. No other back rushed for more than 150 yards. Tight end Harold Fannin led all receivers with 731 yards and 6 touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy returns as top receiver with 602 yards and 6 touchdowns. The Browns went all in on receiver in the draft, taking Casey Conception out of Texas A&M in the 1st round and then taking Denzel Boston from Washington in round 2. The Browns could use the help there. Cleveland scored only 279 points last season. Only the Raiders scored less points. The Browns were going to spend this offseason retooling their offensive line with 4 Week 1 starters hitting free agency. The Browns added 2 offensive linemen during free agency. The Browns have a long way to go, and replacing their offensive line will be the starting point. But no matter what, it all comes back to the quarterback, and the Browns seem to be lacking there. That wraps up our team-by-team preview for the 2026 season. Once again, keep an eye out for our league-wide recap right here on the channel. Please do give the video a like and subscribe to our channel. It really does help us to keep bringing you all of our content. We'll see you again next time right here in the garage.